Students, and welcome to this live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope that all of you had a good week. I hope that you're looking forward to an awesome weekend. Welcome, Fuang. Hi, Dylan. Nice to see our members in the class. Carolina, Alexi. Good to see our channel moderators. Everybody, if you have questions, you can direct those at me or at the moderators, Carolina and Alexi. They're here to help you as well. Welcome, Bin, Anna, Almaz, Angel. Nice to see many of our returning students and new students also. In this class, we're looking at IELTS listening, part 1, part 2. Part 1 is going to be about some university admissions, and part 2 will be about a resort tour. So IELTS listening, do not try to predict the topics. They can be any topic. They've got lots to choose from, and they're very clever and creative at IELTS to make up new topics and new conversations. So just use strategy, pay attention, visualize. I will teach you some tips, some tricks on how to improve your band scores. Students, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Visit us there for the general IELTS. Check us out at gieltshelp.com. The listening is the same for both versions of the test. So we have the same listening on our academic website. This is our academic website here. You can click this big red button that's just right above my head there. Just click it and get access to all of our videos, practice exams, and much, much more. It's a one-time payment, lifetime access. It's well worth it. And you can definitely get all of our materials digitally and in paper form from Amazon as well. IDP affiliates, British Council partners, IELTS test registration centers. I'm a certified British Council agent. You are in good hands with us. For general IELTS students, it's gieltshelp.com. It's the green background. Again, click that big red button there. Boom. All right. Alexi's put the link into the chat. Thank you, Alexi. I appreciate that. That's great. Okay, everybody, we're going to use these websites in just a few moments to do our listening. Okay. Now, I do have to get our listening going here, so we'll do that as well. Let me just get to the right page here. Yeah, there we go. This is coming from our second exam book. Okay, we've got 2 exam books. We're working on the third. And this is test number 4 for those of you who have access to our full premium course. So this will be test 4 listening. Okay, so test 4. It is on page 7 of your exam book. Okay, your second exam book. If you don't have our premium package, don't worry. You can absolutely do this class and participate with us. You will hear the audio. You will see all of the questions, okay? So again, you can get all of those materials from our website. We have this code for you to help you a bit, Surprise 9, for a 10% discount on the website. And if you have questions, you can send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com, admin@aehelp.com. We're here to help you pass. That was some great news from our moderator, Sarah, today, knowing that she's starting her studies at University of Calgary. That's awesome. All right, students, today and tomorrow, we've got this listening class right now, and then tomorrow we have speaking part 2, speaking part 3. This class, by the way, of course, everyone, is a subscribers chat class. So if you want to join the chat and you don't know why you cannot join, it's probably because you haven't subscribed. So subscribe to the channel. We've got over 2.1 million subscribers, so you bet there's a lot of good information and useful materials for your IELTS here. This is our latest video release. Check that out for your speaking when you get a chance. Okay, listening strategies. What do, right? For IELTS, listening is usually the first part of your test. It takes about 50 minutes. Okay, close to an hour. Each part is about 10 minutes, and then you have about an extra 10 minutes for questions and answers. Okay. Now, the IELTS is very different than, for example, TOEFL. TOEFL, you listen, you take notes, and then you answer questions. IELTS, in my opinion, a little bit easier in this way because you actually answer while you listen. So if you miss some information or forget information, it's not as bad as with TOEFL where it's like, it's gone. So IELTS, you answer while you listen, and then you have some time to review questions, review answers while you listen and even after you listen. So it's, in my opinion, in that way, it's quite friendly for the candidates. Okay. All right. The beginning, you have about 90 seconds of instructions. Okay. So during the 90-second instruction time, be sure to look at the topics of each of the 4 parts. Okay? Again, I give you this tip every time, but it's because every time I know that if you follow this one tip, you can improve your band score by a half band or maybe even a band, okay? It's really, really, really helpful for your brain to see the upcoming information in the listening. So this really helps, okay? Your brain to prepare for the upcoming information. Okay, so while you are getting the instructions, you're going to hear it in our exams as well. And in the IELTS, you hear it as well. It tells you, that's copyright material created by the ESOL examination board and so on and so forth. UBC, University of British Columbia, good for you. Great university. It's not far from where I live. All right, so that's the beginning. During the instruction time, look at the titles, visualize, see the information. So if you are hearing information about university registration, you should imagine that you are that person registering for university. When you're hearing information about a tour around a vacation resort, hotel, you should see yourself being at that resort hotel, taking that tour. Be there, okay? All right, everybody. Let's do some listening, and I will give you some tips and hints as we answer the questions afterwards. So I'm going to get my headset here. We're going to play the audio. You will hear the audio. If you have a headset, use it. Practice your listening in a quiet environment, so simulate the actual IELTS as much as possible, okay? Do not put your answer into the chat. Give everybody a chance to answer in the chat, so the moderators will pay attention to that. If they see you putting answers in the chat, they're going to take it out, okay? And they might even time you out. We want to give everybody a fair chance to answer on their own. We don't want to ruin the fun for them, right? It's like telling somebody what happens in the movie. Oh, hey guys, did you see Avatar? You know that part where they like go to that water village and the guy, he gets left out at this little island where there's like this monster and then they become friends. Oops, did I just spoil that for everybody? Okay, I won't tell you anymore. But Avatar, yeah, Way of the Water, have fun with it. I thought it was all right. Don't spoil the listening, okay? If you spoil the listening answers, I'll spoil Avatar, Way of the Water. No, I won't. Okay, so put your answers into a separate sheet or into a separate document, separate file in your computer or phone, and then we'll share them after, okay? All right? Okay, guys. So no spoilers, exactly, do. That's right. It's called a spoiler. No spoilers. Okay. All right. So for this listening, we're going to hop over to the website. Now, when you look at the exam, it tells you where you find the audio on the website. So it says right here for you, CD4 track 1, for those of you who do have it. you can check that out. So we go to your My Student account at ahelp.com. You've got the computer-based practice exams, your interactive course, your exam books and tips and lesson videos. And then the fifth tab is the IELTS audio CDs. In the IELTS audio CDs, we go to CD 4, track 1. Here we go, everybody. So the first step, you will notice what I will do. I'm not just scrolling around like a madman. I'm looking for the topics of each of the listening parts while the instructions are happening. So follow with me and pay attention to that, okay?
This recording is copyrighted by 2Think1 Solutions Inc. and World ESL Tutors. You will hear several different recordings, and you will answer questions on what you hear. There will be time given to read the instructions and questions, and you will be given a chance to check your work. The recordings will be played only once. The test is made up of 4 sections. At the end of the test, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Now turn to Section 1. Listening Section 1. You will hear a conversation between a student and a university administrator. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. You will see that there is an example. This time only, the conversation relating to this question will be played.
Oh, hi there. Is this the University Registrar's office?
Yes, it is. I'm Deborah Reed, the university's Assistant Registrar. What can I help you with today?
Great. Thank you for seeing me today, Ms. Reed. I have a few concerns about my registration for the upcoming semester.
The student says she has concerns about registration, so B has been indicated for you. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Oh, hi there. Is this the University Registrar's office?
Yes, it is. I'm Deborah Reed, the university's Assistant Registrar. What can I help you with today?
Great. Thank you for seeing me today, Ms. Reed. I have a few concerns about my registration for the upcoming semester.
Certainly. What can I help you with? Sorry, what was your name again, Ms.?
Anderson. Melanie Anderson. And well, my first question concerns my student record. I'm beginning my second year of uni, but my first didn't go so well.
You're worried about your marks then, Ms. Anderson, and how they impact your registration status?
Exactly. I don't know my precise average, but it is not good. Could you look into this for me?
Absolutely. Could you please spell your last name for me? I've seen it spelt with either an E or an O in the final syllable.
It's an E. Andersen. My family ancestry is Swedish.
Right then. And the next piece of information I need is your student registration number.
Okay, it seems I've left my student identification with my registration number on it in the car. Can I give you some other piece of information or identification?
Yes, you can. Along with your surname, I can find your account with your date of birth.
Great. It's the 20th of August, 1997.
The 20th of August, 1997?
Yes, that's right.
All right. Let's see your account then. Okay, here it is. Well, I see what you mean about your marks. These are certainly not ideal. However, your average is above the level necessary to proceed to Year 2 of your programme. However, I do see there's a hold on your account which is preventing you from registering for classes.
Yes. See, I thought that was because of my marks.
No, it's not. It's actually because you have unpaid library fines.
Library fines?
Yes. During the past year, you must have been tardy in returning some items to the university library.
Yes, I think I was. Hardly seems like a good reason to prevent a student from registering, though.
I know how you feel, but books are expensive for the university library to acquire, and we must coerce students to pay fines one way or another.
How much do I owe?
£6.20.
£6.20? Well, I suppose it's a relief the total is so small.
You now have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 6 to 10.
Well, now that that is out of the way, I did have another concern. I need advice on what modules to take in my first semester. I'm in the BA Art History program, but as you can see from my record, I failed a class which is a prerequisite for 2 modules I'm supposed to take this semester.
Yes, it looks like that's right. It was Art History 1270 that you failed. Is that right?
1270. Yes, I took it with Professor Calder. I found his teaching style did not match my learning style.
Right. Well, that art history class is indeed a prerequisite for both Art History 2170 and 2260.
Yes, unfortunately that's what I found out earlier. Is there anything that can be done?
Well, Miss Anderson, I think there is. Here's what we'll do. We'll register you in the module you failed last year, and then we'll put you in Art History 2240, which counts towards your degree in place of 2260. 2240 has no prerequisite, however.
But what about the 2170 class?
Yes, well, that's where we'll have to be creative. Are you comfortable taking an extra class in the spring semester?
Yes, I think so.
Good. We will register you in 1270 and 2240 in the fall, and then register you in 2170 in the spring.
Great. And one final question. Is Professor Calder teaching Art History 1270 again this autumn?
Yes, he is, but I've put you in Professor Hennessy's section instead. I think you'll be more successful.
That is the end of section 1. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
Okay, students, let's hop back to the website, pause the audio so we don't get into the second part just yet. We'll go through the answers together and we'll talk a bit of strategy. All right. Now, just a quick FYI for your information, FYI. So here you see in this exam, we have this example, okay? And you even heard the instructions say, here's an example that you'll be given. You don't have examples in your IELTS anymore, okay? They stopped doing that in 2020. So just keep that in mind. A lot of the materials, or there are way more materials with examples than with no examples, because this is a relatively recent change. So if you're doing like the Cambridge IELTS books, in many of them you're going to hear the examples because they're pre-2020. Okay, so just keep that in mind. There is no example in IELTS listening since 2020. So be ready for that, okay? So be ready to answer question 1 right away, okay? This also means that you have a bit less time, about 20 seconds less time, to review the other parts. Okay. All right. Keep that in mind. Otherwise, it's not a big deal. Then you get into it. So here you have multiple choice. Now, with multiple choice questions, students tend to find them actually kind of difficult, which is understandable. Okay. The biggest tip for multiple choice questions is to change them into statements. We'll look at that in just a moment. But before we do that, let's let's talk about what the parts will be about. So here, part 1 clearly is about university registration. Part 2 is about a resort. Okay, we saw that. What is part 3 about? Anybody figure out what part 3 and what part 4 will be about? So, did you catch the topics there for part 3, part 4? Chayani says one of them is going to be about a tortoise. Yes, it is. That's part 4. A loggerhead tortoise. Yes. And part 3, that's right, Angel. It's something about a zoo. It's not the last one. It's the third one, right? So, conversation about zoo or zoos. Yeah. Okay, so what you should be doing here is you should be visualizing. So if you ever visited a zoo, you should see the zoo. If you've ever seen a loggerhead turtle, you should see the turtle. Okay, so see the information that you're about to listen to. That's going to help you a lot. Yeah, Carolina, thanks for the help. Somebody's asking about instructions. Yes, there's absolutely instructions before the exam. They're about 70, 80 seconds of instructions. Okay. And yes, you can jump to different parts. So even in the computer-based exam, everybody, here's the computer screen. Here, let me do this a little bit differently. Let me do it like this. Okay, so in the computer-based exam, and you have a piece of paper. I saw somebody ask, do I have a piece of paper? Yes, you do. You have a piece of paper in the computer-based exam as well. So here's your computer screen. Okay. Here are the questions. Okay. Okay, so you have the questions. And at the bottom of the computer screen, you have the question numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 40. And you can literally click, like you can click on any question and you can jump to that part and to that question. Okay. So it's very fast. In the computer-based exam, you can check out the topics very, very quickly. And I know that a lot of our viewers who have actually done the IELTS exam have done this. They're like, oh yeah, I jumped around and checked out the topics and it was really helpful, right? Unfortunately, some people who don't know this, don't hear about it, they literally just stare at the first screen for that 90 seconds, which is a huge mistake, okay? So everybody got that, right? When you're doing your exam, and you can do this in the paper-based, if the examiner tells you don't turn the page, they shouldn't tell you that. That's you're allowed to do that. So if they tell you don't turn the page, then don't turn the page. But after the exam, you can tell somebody in the office and say, hey guys, that as far as I know, that's not a rule. I don't know why the examiner told me not to. Can you please tell your examiners to not tell students to not turn the page? Because you're allowed to. In the computer-based exam, you can jump around the questions at any time during the listening, okay? So that's one advantage of the computer-based exam is there they won't tell you don't jump around. You can just do it, okay? So it's a part of the software, right? Okay. So we know what each one is about, each part. Again, university registration, resort tour, multiple choice questions, students. MCQ. Okay, what you need to do is step 1. Turn the question into a statement. Okay, and then step 2, listen for the answer instead of staring at the choices. Okay, those are your 2 biggest tips for multiple choice. So when you have this, in which year of the university is the student enrolled in, what you should be doing is you should be thinking, how are they going to say this? Like, how is a person actually going to say this? I am enrolled in year whatever. She doesn't actually say that though, because in the IELTS they paraphrase. So notice how here it says enrolled, and some students will go, oh, that's the key word. They're going to say enrolled. Well, guess what? They don't. So here, for example, the girl does not actually use the word enrolled, not as far as I heard. Does anybody know what she actually says? Yeah, they might use the word registered angel, but she doesn't actually say that. She says a different phrase. Does anybody remember what she says exactly? I kind of do, because it stuck with me. So she says, I'm yeah, exactly, Bogdan. Bogdan says, I am starting. Yeah, I am starting my second year of studies. Okay, so that's what she says. She says, I'm starting my second year of studies. So we know that she is enrolled in her second year. So the correct answer is B for that one. Okay. All right, it's B. Okay, so again, multiple choice. You think about how they will say the information, paraphrase it, and listen for the answer. And that becomes very important for the second question, because the second question is quite tricky. What is the student most concerned about? A, her marks, B, her registration status, or C, her identification? A, B, or C for number 2. Chayani says A. Maftuna says A. Aziz Beck says B. Alexi says A. Dylan says A. Fuang says A. Yeah, the correct answer is, so it's most concerned about, right, is the question. The correct answer is B. What does she say? Anybody catch what she says? Okay, where we can figure that out. And you can kind of figure it out from the whole conversation, if you will, right? So if you're really paying attention, you realize that she's talking about her registration. So she talks about a little bit about her marks at the beginning, but overall, the conversation is about her registration. It's not about her marks, okay? It was a tricky one, and this is why you have to pay attention to the conversation. You cannot get a high score in the listening by paying attention to just keywords. It does not work, okay? That's why you shouldn't underline or circle words. Do not underline, do not circle keywords, all right? So she actually says something like, I'm worried about my marks and how they impact my registration. Okay? Did everybody catch that? She says something like that. Okay? And if you're not sure, what you want to do is you want to check the transcripts. Now, any good materials will have transcripts in the back of the book. So we'll jump to the back of the book. Mind your eyes here. Okay, so the back of the book, in this case it's page 110, has the transcripts, okay? And you notice here it says, my name is Melanie Anderson, and I'm beginning my second year. So yeah, it's not starting, it was actually beginning. I'm beginning my second year of uni, which is basically like starting, right? So we know that, but that's for the first one. And then for the second one, Deborah says, you are worried about your marks then, Miss Anderson, and how they impact your registration status. right? So there it is, how they impact your registration status. Yep. Okay. And then when you keep listening, she says that, yeah, your marks are bad. They're not ideal. But she says your average is above the level necessary to proceed to year 2 of your program. Okay? And then she's like, oh, that's so good. Okay? Now, another way, of course, that you can answer questions, and you should answer questions, is using your logic, so using critical thinking, right? If you're in university and you're not able to register, then you're more worried about registration than you are about your marks, okay? If you're a university student, you kind of know that, right? Okay, let's jump back to the questions. Okay, so the correct answer here was her registration status. Angel says, that's vague. It is, but it's not if you listen to the whole conversation, Angel. So if you're listening to the whole conversation, you realize, oh, they're talking mostly about her registration, not her marks, right? And what's affecting her registration. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So Najak Deep says, I listen more for the words than for the actual registration. Yeah, exactly. Right? So you need to listen to the content, not words. Careful. If you're listening for just keywords, they actually almost trick you in some places by talking about those words in a different context. Okay, Melanie who? What's your name? They spell it. It's part 1. They will give you a bit of extra information here. So she says, my name is Melanie Anderson. Yes, with an E. She's Swedish. Anderson. Andersen. They talk about those last couple of letters. And when was Ms. Anderson born? Noor says 20th of August. Was it? 20th of August? 20. Okay, August 20th, yeah. Just nice and short like that, okay? Make sure the A is big on August. If you write August with a small a, like if you do this, this is wrong, okay? This A has to be big, okay? Months are considered proper nouns. All right, library fines. The reason Miss Anderson can't register has nothing to do with her marks, but it's because she's tardy. She returned her books late. This actually is true, students. So universities are very unhappy when students don't return their books, so they can block your registration for that. The correct answer here, everybody's saying it's 620. You don't need the symbol, it's provided, so all you need is the 620, okay? They give you the symbol, so you do not have to include that in your answer. Okay. Write no more than 3 words for each answer. What program? Pay attention to those instructions. 3 words maximum. What program is the student in? Anshalam says B. Well, I think that's maybe the other. Angel of Hell says the art history. It's not the art history. It's just art history. Right? So simply it's art history. And the A and the H have to be capital. Okay? It's the name of the program. Art history. When it's the name of a program, it becomes proper nouns. BA of art is not enough, Anna. It's BA art history. So art history, or you could have BA art history, like that. Okay. BA is not necessary in this case because the program is art history. We don't need to say it's the Bachelor of Art History. It could be a master's, PhD. It's the art history program. It's actually one program. So the easiest answer here is art history. If you really are specific and meticulous, you could say BA without the brackets, of course. Okay, so just BA art history, right? So art history is the program, right? Okay, match the class number with the correct description. So all you have to do here is you have to take this and put it somewhere in here. Okay, where does it go? It's a matching kind of game. You have to pay attention. And again, logic, students, logic is your friend. Notice how these are twos, two. That's because they're second year. She hasn't taken second year courses yet because she's just starting her second year. So the only one that she has taken and failed is the first year. It's the only one with that one in front of it, right? So here we want to put A into the answer sheet, and it's correct. And even if you missed it, you should get that because you notice that it starts with a 1, so it's a first year program. Okay? All right. Fazan, yes, you can write all the answers in capital letters, but be careful. It's slower and it's easier to make mistakes. Okay, so students, that's a very, 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 very common question that we get from people is, can I write all capital letters? You can write all capital letters. They're called uppercase letters in the listening and reading. But it is slower to write this way and easier to make spelling mistakes. So be careful. Okay, be very careful. All right. And in the writing task 1, writing task 2, you have to use correct capitalization anyway, so you kind of might as well learn it for your reading and your listening also. Okay? It's probably a good idea. All right. So number 7, 2170 is B. Yes, she's going to take that one in the spring, and that's going to be instead of 2260, which she's not taking at all. So it's BAC here. Good job. Some of you got that. Okay. Shushma, BAB? No, BAC. If you don't see this, like NB, you can use choices more than once. If you don't see that, that means you can only choose one time, okay? So in this case, we don't have that instruction, so we need to use all 3 of these, okay? All right, careful about that. Okay, if you write BAB, it's a bad mistake to make, okay? All right, so BAC. Question 10. The student is registered for 1270 with the same professor as she previously had. True or false? A, true. B, false. Students, careful. Please don't write true or false. It's not a true, false, not given reading question. Okay, so here it's either A or B. Okay. The correct answer, Alexi? B, right? 1 says it's B. Yes. B, false, right? Don't write false, okay? Just write B. Now, again, that's one of the advantages of the computer-based exam. So let me just quickly write that for all of you. So 2 advantages. I do think that the listening section in particular is better done on the computer-based exam than the paper. So 2 advantages of computer-based exams. A, it is easier to navigate around the listening sections, or questions, I should say. And B, it's less likely to make accidental mistakes with answers. Okay, like writing true or false in this case instead of B. Because in the computer-based exam, you just literally click B, like choice B. You just click on it. You don't actually have to type B, right? In the paper-based exam, you actually have to put B into your answer sheet, okay? Angel says, my score on computer are dramatically lower than paper-based. Yeah, Angel, and that can be the case. So the only time I recommend, and this is an important tip here, everybody, taking the computer-based exam is if you can touch type proficiently. Okay. Touch typing means not looking at your hand. Okay. If you have to look at your hand while you're typing, I recommend doing the paper-based exam. If you're like doing this as you type and not the screen as you type, don't take the computer-based exam. Okay, you're just asking for trouble. All right, so touch type. By the way, students, learn to touch type. There are lots of great programs and software out there, so learning to touch type is extremely important in life. Okay, free software to help you with that. We don't get sponsored by these guys. I personally have used this software and it's very useful. This is not, there's no sponsorship here from these guys at all. So one is called Touch Type or Rapid Typing, sorry, it's called rapidtyping.com. And the other one is an app called Typeland. I think it might be 2 words like that. My daughter uses Typeland and she's getting really good at touch typing, okay? So rapidtyping.com, Typeland, okay? Learn to touch type. It's a big tip. It's indirect, but it's a big tip, okay? All right. Learn it, use it, get into touch typing. You're going to thank me later, okay? All right, students, what'd you get out of 10 for the first piece here? Boom, 10. How did you do? In a perfect world, you're getting 9 or 10. Okay, it's part 1. It's the easiest. You should be thinking it's easy. So if you think that part 1 is difficult, you might not be ready for IELTS yet. Okay, so if you listen and you do part 1 and you're like, wow, that was kind of difficult, you're probably not ready for IELTS yet. So you need to study, okay? When you do listening 1, you should be thinking, oh, that was kind of easy. Okay, that should be the feeling. If you feel that way, then you're probably ready for IELTS. Okay? So Noor says it's easy. That's good, Noor. It means you're ready for IELTS, okay? Life is Funny says 7 out of 10. That's a little bit low for part 1. Deandra says 10 out of 10. That's great. Dude, 8 out of 10. That's nice. Najak Deep, 9 out of 10. Okay? Lexi says, I prefer to stay silent. All right, it's just it is friendly advice. Like if you're getting less, okay, so if you get less than 6 on part 1 consistently, because you might have one where you get less than 6, but if you're usually getting 8 or 9, then you're ready, okay? But if you're consistently getting less than 7 or 6, you are not yet ready to take the IELTS test. Don't waste your money. Okay, all right. One way that you know you're ready for the IELTS is you consistently get 8, 9, or more on part 1, okay? Okay, and you should be thinking, oh, that was kind of easy. Yash says not for whole IELTS, but for listening. No, Yash, the whole IELTS. Okay, so in my opinion, if you are not able to consistently get 8, 9, or 10 in part 1, and you're not thinking, oh, that was kind of easy, you're not ready for the whole IELTS. Okay, you're not ready for the listening, you're not ready for the reading, the speaking, or the writing yet. Okay. We listen to a lot of English, watching movies, listening to music. So if you're not able to get that score in listening part 1, which is very generic conversation, like university registration or giving information for traveling, for example, or somebody talking about their hobby, like playing sports. If you don't understand that level of conversation clearly, you're not going to be able to perform well in the reading, speaking, or writing sections either. Okay, so that's kind of a general rule. It's a good way to kind of predict your ability to do well in the IELTS. Okay. All right, students, let's jump into part 2. Okay. All right. Let's do it. Angel, if part 1 is harder for you than part 4, you need to really kind of figure out what's going on. It really shouldn't be. Okay, it definitely should not be. All right. Okay, let's jump into part 2. Again, put on your headset if you got it, and we'll hop back to the website. By the way, students, you can register for your IELTS exam if you see this red button on our website. It means your at-home registration is available in your country, so you can register there. And you can also book speaking practice and practice speaking with other students right there on the website. And you can download the app by clicking on the QR code that's beside me there. That's the app QR code. I'll probably actually even do it through YouTube if I move it up a bit like this. I can't move that up more. It's the end of the page. Okay, let's do listening part 2. Here we go.
Now turn to section 2. Take some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Listening, section 2. You will hear a woman showing a group of people around an all-inclusive resort hotel. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully to the interview and answer questions 11 to 16.
I'd like to welcome all of you to the White Sands 5-star resort here in beautiful Varadero, Cuba. Today I'm going to show you the fine features you'll get to experience during your stay here at White Sands. Before we begin, does anyone have any questions?
Hi there. Yes, I have a quick question. How long will the tour be? I have to meet the rest of my family for lunch in an hour.
Not a problem, sir. The tour will take no more than 30 minutes. If after this time anyone wants more details on any of the resort's features, I can help them out individually. Any other questions? No? Well, let's get started then. White Sands covers 10 acres of land, including direct access to over 250 metres of pristine Caribbean coastline. It is perfectly safe to swim in the waters here at White Sands, but do be on the lookout for jellyfish in the water. They are not deadly, but their sting does pack a punch. As we pass through the lobby, I want you to take note of the main bar area on your left. The bar is open from 11 in the morning each day and closes at 1 o'clock AM each night. As we proceed down the main path, you'll see 4 apartment buildings marked A and B on your left and C and D on your right. Between buildings C and D on your right is one of our finest restaurants featuring traditional Cuban cuisine. We have 7 restaurants in all at White Sands, and we invite you to try your favourites while you are here.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
In our brochure, I read that we are only entitled to 5 restaurant visits per week we stay at the resort. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. The restaurants are only open for dinner, and reservations are mandatory. You will be able to make reservations at the end of this tour or any time before 5 this evening. When you are not dining at our a la carte restaurants, you may eat at either of our 2 buffet restaurants, which are open for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Additionally, there is a night cafe, which is open until 4 AM.
Does the resort have a nightclub for dancing?
Yes, of course. We have a discotheque located at the end of the main resort path, further away from the apartments. This is, of course, for noise reasons. In fact, the discotheque is conveniently located next to the night cafe.
And what are the discotheque's hours?
It opens at 8 in the evening and closes at 3 AM early the next morning. Last call for drinks is at 2:45.
You now have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 17 to 20.
Next, I'd like to take you down to the beach and show you some of the facilities and services we offer. As we approach the beach, you'll notice the brilliant white sand that our resort is named after. The sand is incredibly fine and is lovely to walk on in your bare feet. Now you can see to your left is one of our beach bar facilities. There is also another beach bar about 100 metres to your right. These bars serve beer and cocktails from noon until 4:30 in the afternoon. On your right is a small cafe serving snack food items during the same opening hours as the beach bar. And straight ahead of us is our beach changing facility, where you can change into your swimming costume, use the toilet, or have a shower.
Are there any water sports included in our holiday package?
Good question. Yes, there are. You have unlimited access to our skimboards, surfboards, and beach sports equipment, such as beach volleyball and football. Additionally, you may sign up for windsurfing at our activity desk, located adjacent to the resort lobby. Finally, you may also register for our weekly water polo tournament, which is held each Friday afternoon at 2:30. Does anyone else have any?
That is the end of section 2. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, back to the website. Let's stop the audio and check our answers. Now, I was using the strategies and the tips that I'm going to show you while I was doing this listening, and I'm sure many of you saw it like, oh, okay, that's what I can do, right? And you have paper, you have pencil, pen in both the computer-based and the paper-based to do what I did, okay? All right, so here we go, everybody. Let's jump back to the questions, and we'll go through the answers together. So here again, we had a multiple choice. The tour will be is the answer, and the woman says will be about 30 minutes, right? She doesn't actually say half an hour. She said 30 minutes. 30 minutes is half an hour, so the correct answer is C. Okay, so 30 minutes long. Now, next question. It's actually 4 questions, 12, 13, 14, 15. So you've got 4 answers here. When you have 4 answers and you have 7, 8 choices, right? So 8 choices and 4 answers. Half of them are wrong, half of them are right. The best strategy for this type of question is taking notes. Okay, and you saw me do that. So this is where I highly recommend using your note paper, taking notes, and you can figure out the answers after. So these are my notes that I took. There are 10 acres of land at this resort. There's a coastline. Coastline means beach. Right? It's safe to swim. There's jellyfish that like to punch. They pack a punch, means they kind of hurt, but they don't kill you. There's a bar area. There's 4 apartment buildings. There's a Cuban restaurant. There's 7 restaurants. Restaurants need reservations. There's 2 buffets. There's a night cafe, and there's a nightclub. Okay, so let's go to it. Here we go. Is there a night cafe? Yes. Night cafe. There it is. Deadly jellyfish? No, they're not deadly. She even said it's safe to swim. Why would she say it's safe to swim if the jellyfish are deadly? That would be kind of weird. It's safe to swim except for the sharks and the jellyfish that kill you. No, that doesn't make sense. IELTS is logical. It's a logical exam. So if you're confused, if you're like, deadly jellyfish, safe to swim, that doesn't make sense. What's going on here? Oh, okay, I guess maybe the jellyfish are not deadly. I just didn't hear the not part. Okay, she says they aren't deadly. That's right, Angel. Yeah. So that one, no. 24-hour Cuban restaurant. No, she doesn't say they're 24-hour. 4 apartment buildings, yes. She said A, B, C, D. It's right there. 4 apartment buildings. Okay. A number of restaurants, absolutely. 7 to be exact. A dozen acres of land. It's 10 acres of land. A dozen is 12. So, no. Okay. Direct beach access. Yes, she says coastline. And several buffet restaurants. No, because there's 2. 2 is not several. 2 is a couple. Okay. So, the correct answers are A, night cafe. D, 4 apartment buildings. E, a number of restaurants. Okay. And lastly, but not least, direct beach access. So A, D, E, G. Whoever got those in whatever order, you're good. Order doesn't matter. You just need A, D, E, G. Okay? Everybody good? You see that? Okay. So what's the most important strategy for this type of question? Let's see it. Put it in the chat. Let's see how many of you heard it. Okay. What's the best way to get these answers? That's right, Bogdan. That's right, Angel. That's right, Sherpa. Vishal. Take notes. Keep your notes simple. Okay, take notes. All right. It's very difficult to do these questions if you're just kind of staring at the answers. You'll go crazy. What's going on? And sometimes there's even more. Like sometimes you have to choose 3 from 9. You have to do notes. Okay. Good question. Carolina says, when should we stop taking notes? Okay, that's a very good question, right? Never. No, not true. Not never. Okay, you definitely should not be taking notes throughout. You should be paying attention. As soon as you hear the next answer. So, Carolina says, when should we stop taking notes? So as soon as you start hearing them talk about the discotheque, and this is why it's important to review the questions. Remember at the beginning when they're like, you have some time to review questions 10 to 15 or 16 to 20 or whatever, or 10 to 16. You need to review them. You need to look ahead, right? So you need to realize like, oh, okay, that question's done. They're talking about something else. So you need to look ahead. And as soon as you start hearing these answers here, stop taking notes and focus on the information again, okay? So here, what time is the last call? Last call means the last chance to get a drink from the bar. The correct answer here, B. Last call for the discotheque is 2:45. I still took notes here, and for me, it worked, okay? So for some people, notes are okay. Like it said, it's open from 8 till 3. Last call is 2:45. So that's how I was able to figure it out, okay? Patience says, taking notes distracts me. What can I do to improve? Patience, you have to learn to take notes. Students, note-taking skills are important. You should practice them. You will be doing this in your university classes as well. You take notes, okay? Professors test you. So for those of you who have not done university yet, you should know, this is just a little personal tip. My degree's in psychology, and I have friends who graduated from many different schools in Canada, US, UK. This is the standard, so keep this in mind, okay? In universities, and I think it's the same in other universities, but hey, you can tell me if you're like, nope, in my school it was never like that. In universities in Canada, US, UK, your exams are usually, on average, I'm going to say, 50% about information in textbooks and course content, and 50% from professor lectures. Okay? So you must learn to take notes well to get the best marks in school. Okay? So learn it, okay? How do you learn it? Well, by doing it, right? You can listen to lectures, take notes. You can actually study note-taking strategies from different people online as well, okay? Is it the same? I think Najagdeep is saying yes. Najagdeep, does that mean in India? I think you're from India, right? It's 50% textbooks, course content, 50% from the professor's lectures. Is that the way it is for you as well in India, or how is it? Tell me. I'm actually curious. Like, if you've done university in your own country, is it the same? Like, is it 50-50, 50% notes, 50% from textbooks? Yeah, Domenico says, when I was studying at university, I was supposed to be taking notes all the time, so I'm used to it. Domenico says yes. So Domenico's from Italy, so it's yes. Chayani, Indonesia. So for Chayani, it's yes as well. Okay. Sharav says yes, it's about a 50-50. Abhi says it's about a 70-30. Okay. All right. Yeah. And, you know, there are some slight differences. That's why I said on average, but it's about a 50-50, right? So IELTS does kind of, by the way, students, if you take TOEFL, TOEFL is full of note-taking. So TOEFL requires you to take a lot of notes. Okay, so if you plan to take TOEFL, then make sure you know that you have to take a lot of notes. You get a ton of note paper. If you're not good at taking notes, don't do TOEFL. Okay, all right. TOEFL is like all note taking. Okay, Artemisa says, yeah, in Albania also. Okay, all right. So be ready for that, everybody. Be ready for that. Okay. All right. Let's finish up here, everybody. Okay, so last call for discotheque is 2:45. Here I did a diagram type note, and that's also part of note taking. So notice how here there's 4 diagrams, and they're quite simple. they're basically just rectangles, right? Rectangle, 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 rectangle. And interestingly, they don't actually put the last piece in there, which is the beach changing facility. But that's, that's what I did here as well. So instead of staring at the choices like pop out at me, jump out at me, instead of that, I just took notes. And you probably remember my picture. It looked like a square, and there was a bar here, and a cafe here, and the beach changing facilities straight ahead, right? So changing rooms. Okay. So I know from my notes that the correct answer for this is D, right? Just from drawing it. Quick, simple little drawing, right? So instead of really getting confused by this, just draw it. Okay, and you get the right answer. Yeah, Chen says, just jump out already. Why are you not jumping out at me? Yeah, that's really frustrating when you get into that situation. Don't stare at the answers, for sure. Okay, so, and we all get there sometimes, Chen, right? We all get there. Sometimes we're all like, why isn't this answer jumping out at me? So you have to just relax, take a breath, remember your logic, remember deduction. There are lots of skills for multiple choice. Okay. All right. The beach bars serve beer and cocktails from noon until what time? Alexi, I actually wrote it down. So this was still a part of my notes. So Carolina, when you asked when should we stop taking notes, you can pretty much just do it by notes. And I did this by notes, this one here as well. Bogdan says 4:30, yeah. It was part of my notes, right? Because when I drew the bars, I actually included 4:30 in my notes there as she said it. And then I realized, okay, they're talking about this. And then we also offer a changing facility. FACILITY for 19. Beach changing facility. Okay, and it's a. So it's one, even though she said facilities. Okay. Yeah, Alexi, you can. You get paper and pen during the computer. It's a really nice part of the computer-based exam is that you have your private space, you have your note paper, your keyboard, your pen. So you can absolutely take notes. It's set up for that, okay? Mal, you should. Yeah, you definitely should. When I did the computer-based exam, they gave me a paper, and they even said you can use this paper to take notes. So when I did the computer-based exam, you should have these instructions. If your exam center is not doing that, then somebody's making a mistake, and they need to be told. So somebody needs to tell them, hey guys, in all parts of the world, that's not how it works. What's going on? Okay, so in the computer-based exam, you get a fresh piece of paper with some instructions on how to log in for each section, the listening, reading, and writing. They take it away after each section, and they say, you can use this paper to take notes. Okay? So they literally say that. Yeah, so Carolina says, yes, me too. I use the paper in the computer-based exam. Yeah, no, they actually say, they have to say this. It's part of their instructions. I'm a British Council agent. I work with British Council with IDP. We talk about this, and they're like, yes, the procedure is to give them a paper. The paper looks like this, by the way. You can even find some templates online, and the paper, it's a full-size paper. Okay, so it's not a small piece of paper. It should be a full size, and there's instructions at the top. Okay, and the instructions take about that much of the paper. Okay, you have all of this blue area, and you have the backside, the entire backside. So you have like 1 2/3 of a page of a full piece of paper to take notes. Okay, so Chayani, I'm not sure what's going on there, but you got to talk to those people. You got to say, hey, where's my note paper? Did somebody take it home for their own use, or what happened? Okay. All right. So you should see that paper. Okay. And number 20, last one. Water polo. 2 words. Bogdan, very good. Students, remember your scores, okay? Hopefully you got, you got hopefully 16 or more, okay? Part 1, part 2 together, you're looking for 16 or more out of 20, then you're on the right track. If you have less than 16, okay? So if your score is less than 16, then not so good. All right, Dylan, 18 is great. Fuang, 18 is fantastic. Durendra, 19 is awesome. Okay, so you want to be over 16, and then you're on the right track for part 1, part 2. Yanni, 17 is good. Okay, so aim for those higher scores. All right. Okay, students, save your scores, because at the bottom of the website, so this is aehelp.com here, and at the bottom of the website, there is a score calculator, okay, for your scores. So if you get 12, you get a band 4. But you need the other sections. You need section 3 and section 4. We're going to do section 3, section 4 next week, okay, on next week, Friday. So save your scores, and then you can add it up and figure out your band score. Definitely do some practice exams before your real test. We've got 6 practice exams for you on the website. Again, another great reason to spend a few dollars, get all the materials, audio. Just searching online for materials that teach you well in a structured way. No, especially not for IELTS. There's a lot of really bad information too, so you can waste a lot of time, energy, and even shoot yourself in the foot. It's an idiom that means create a problem for yourself by learning from bad materials. So get good materials. It's worth investing a few dollars to learn from structured materials that teach you real strategies that help you on the test. That's what we do. We work with IELTS, as I mentioned, and we apply psychology to the learning and the exam process. So join by clicking the big red button that's just right above my head there, okay? For general IELTS students, it's gieltshelp.com. Listening is the same. It's the same in the general academic, but the writing and the reading are different. So that's why we have 2 different websites. It makes sense. So go there for the general, and begin studying for your success in school and immigration. Okay, one-time payment, lifetime access. Alexi has the link for you there in the chat. Thank you, subscribers. Thank you, members. Tomorrow we will have speaking part 2, speaking part 3. So make sure to come back for that. We will use the websites to talk to each other and talk about strategies on how to do well in practice. Okay, so keep up the good work, everybody. Thank you, Chen, Carolina, Alexi, channel members. You're doing a great job. These classes are really focused and very effective with your effort combined. So thank you for that. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have an awesome rest of your Friday and a great start to Saturday. I hope to see you Saturday. I'm Adrian. Remember, you're all beautiful people. Just chin up and forward. Bye for now, everybody.